All right, welcome back. Now, the last category of the app is chord inversion. Now, the way I've designed the app is in sort of order of simple to complex. We start with easy stuff like pitch recognition, and then it gets complex all the way up to chord inversion. So I recommend going through the app in that fashion. As you get comfortable with one category, go to quiz mode, take the quiz, see how well you do. Try to complete up to the advanced level in the quiz mode before moving to another category. And we're going to talk about quiz mode in a little bit. Let's jump to chord inversions now. So chord inversions customization screen, or the settings screen, we talked about range before, and what that does is to determine where on the keyboard those chords are played. Right now it says C2 to C4. So it's kind of too low. It's kind of low. I prefer preferably to hear chords in this range of the piano. So I'm going to increase it to C3. Oops. Where am I? C3. I'm going to do C3 to C4. Actually, let's do actually let's increase that to C5. So we have this sort of register to work with. Below that we have chord quality, and you see multiple. And if we looked here, you see major and minor, and then you also have diminish, because we're going to talk about inversions of chords now. And major and minor is the standard. Again, if you want to start with just major, you can uncheck minor. If you want to just do minor, you can uncheck major. If you want to just do diminish, you can do that. But let's just start with major and minor right now. Below that is where it says note direction, and again, how is the chord going to be played? Ascending or descending? Play mode has to do with, is the chord going to be played broken, as I just demonstrated, or blocked? I recommend starting with broken first. Blocked chords and inversions are extremely hard to identify. It's a skill that is reserved for when you get very comfortable at hearing broken chords and telling the inversions. We're going to talk a little bit about that and why. Speed, again, when the chord's being played broken, how fast does the notes play? Timer, questions, and multiple attempts functions the same way. But then we have a new option here, which is sustain chord. When a blocked chord is played, it's held for a certain length and then the chord disappears. If you want that chord to held longer, we can click the sustain option, but it's disabled by default. So that's what sustain options mean. Let's jump now to start the quiz. So chord inversions, and all of these are just relates to triad. We didn't go above triads, because if you can hear triads in all three inversions comfortably, then you'll be able to go beyond there on your own. A triad has three positions you can play the chord in. Root position. Root position is when we have a series of stacked thirds. First inversion, second inversion. Now, before we can begin to identify chord inversion, you have to understand the intervallic makeup of each position of these chords, because that's what we're going to use to identify the inversion. In root position, the first interval is a major third. Da, da. And then from here to here is a minor third. So it's two stacked thirds, which makes it a little easier to identify. I call it symmetric, 2 thirds. Third here, even though it's minor. So what we're listening for is da, 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 da. Root position chord is comprised of a major third and a minor third, 2 stacked thirds. Once we invert the chord, now the intervallic makeup change. We take the C, we put it at the top. It's still a C chord. Now it's in first inversion because the E is now the lowest tone of the chord. And that's how we determine inversions. What is the lowest tone of the chord? E, G, C. eased the first note, so now the chord's in first inversion. Look at the intervallic makeup, very important. The first two note gives us an interval of a minor third. Da, 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 da. And then the last two interval is a perfect fourth. Da, da. So first inversion triad is made up of a minor third and a perfect fourth. So when we're listening to the chord, we're listening to that intervallic makeup. The last inversion, what we'll call second inversion, the first two notes form an interval of a perfect fourth. And then the second interval is that of a major third. So when we're listening to the audio being played, we listen for what that first interval is, what that second interval is, which is why I recommend you start with broken first, so you can hear these interval distance clearly. Let's give it a shot. What I like to do is sing it first. I find when I sing stuff, I can conceptualize it and internalize it better. What's that first two note? Pam, 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 pam. Or pam, 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 pam. Sol, la, ti, do, da, da. So if I know that my first note, my first two interval is an interval of a perfect fourth, I don't even need to know the next interval, because only one inversion has the first interval as a perfect fourth in that second inversion. Bum. So that's the first note. Bum, bum. Bum, bum. So I knew that was a second inversion even without playing it. I just wanted to show you that a second inversion starts with an interval of a perfect fourth. So then I could go second inversion. It forces you to think more about your intervallic makeup of the chord. This is what this quiz teaches you to do. So when you're transcribing a song and you're listening to the chord, you're paying close attention to not only the chord quality, but what position the chord is in. This is how we transcribe. Let's try another option. First, I could tell it's a minor chord. It's very high. I would probably want to lower it, but I'm just going to complete this question for now. So, da, 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 da. So again, I could tell it's a second inversion because that first interval is a perfect fourth. Second inversion, and it's correct. And this is how you go through figuring out chord inversion. You first have to you first have to know the intervallic makeup of each chord quality. Now, what I just did was for major chord. We have to do the same thing for minor chords. So minor chords, the intervallic makeup starts with a minor third and a major third. In the first inversion, now we have a major third and a perfect fourth. The second inversion now has a perfect fourth and a minor third. So it's kind of similar to the makeup of the major chord, but what if we're doing now like a diminished triad? What we're listening for is that symmetricness, so to speak. Minor third, minor third. When it's inverted, first inversion, we have minor third, tritone, or augmented fourth. The distance between here and here, it's an augmented fourth, or what we refer to as a tritone. Second inversion, we have a tritone and a minor third. So you've got to study these chords, know the intervallic makeup, so when you hear the sound, you know what you're hearing based off your previous understanding of the chord makeup. The augmented chord is symmetric in a way that there's only 3 augmented triads in music. C augmented, C sharp, D, actually there's 4, and E flat. There's only 4 augmented triad in music. And why we say that is because every time we invert an augmented triad, we get another augmented triad. So if I invert C augmented, I get E augmented. It's the exact intervallic makeup. Major third, major third. If I invert it, major third, major third. If I invert it, major third, major third. There's no way to tell an inversion because augmented triads cannot be inverted. You invert an augmented triad, you just get another augmented triad. Major third, major third. And so we didn't make sense to put it in the app because that would just create confusion. There are no inversions of augmented triads. So those are the different features of chord quality or chord inversions. And these are the features of the ear training app. I trust that you've been following along. The recommendation is that you watch one of these videos based on the current level or the current program or category of the app that you're working on. So if you're not on chord inversions yet, don't start practicing chord inversions or don't start practicing progression training. Focus on the level that you're currently working on. We have to do this in a systematic way, right? Now, once you've gone through the entire app, then you can go mix, match, and jump around. But it's important that you follow a process. You don't overwhelm yourself. So you don't need to be working on all of these different skills at the same time. Work on them individually first. Get really comfortable with one first before you move on to the other. Because we've set up the app for it to be progressive. Pitch recognition allows you to be able to function in interval training. Interval training is what allows you to figure out chord quality. Chord quality or interval training allows you to get better at baseline analysis. Chord quality and interval training is the skill you need before you can figure out progression training. And pitch recognition, interval training, baseline training, chord quality recognition is what you need before you can figure out chord inversions. So it's set up in a progressive way. All right? Now, like I said, there are additional courses because these video series was more of an outline to get you up and running with the app. You will absolutely need a lot more theoretical and ear training programs to give you more deeper insights into working on each of these skills. PianoLessonWithWarren.com already has a lot of those videos available. And I have posted those below so you can check them out if you feel you need these additional videos to help you along. If you haven't completed it yet, I highly recommend it. All right? Now go ahead and have some fun with Active Ear. I trust this app really helps your ear training so you can be a better musician in playing by ear. All right? As always, if you need to reach me regarding any questions of about the app or the program, you can message me directly from inside the ear training app or anywhere here on the screen. You might see a pop-up little message box or a contact form. There are multiple ways to reach me. If you ever receive an email from me, you can just hit reply to those emails. They all come to me, and I'll absolutely try to assist you in whatever issue you're going through. All right? So until then, keep listening, keep singing, keep practicing, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.